Welcome back to the Sage Skills Lab, where we exist for one reason: to help you turn insights into action. Every video here gives you one science-backed skill, one practice you can start today, and one key takeaway that will make you a sharper, stronger leader. And today we're going to look at some data from McKinsey that shows that nearly half of all new hires are failing, and a framework for how to fix it, starting with your next open role. So according to McKinsey, job offer acceptance rates have plummeted to just 54% globally. Even worse, nearly 1 in 5 new hires walks out the door during their probationary period. And across the board, overall hiring success sits at a staggering 46%. Think about that. It means nearly half of every single hire your organization makes. That's every job ad written, every interview scheduled, every offer negotiated, isn't working. All the time, the budget, the onboarding energy, they're all falling apart. They're not successful. But if we think about it a little bit more deeply, McKinsey's data is actually telling us that it's not the job market that's the problem. It's actually the process that we're using. So today we're going to uncover exactly why traditional hiring is broken and give you a practical skill that you can use before your next hire goes live. So what's the problem here? Is it the seed or is it the soil? Well, when a new hire doesn't work out, people tend to blame the individual. We do that all the time with data and facts. We think it's someone else who's got a problem, not us. Clearly, we say they just weren't a good fit. They lacked the drive. They didn't have the skills. But traditional screening models are built on the myth of this isolated perfect resume or CV or even candidate. And we inspect the person as they go through this process and expect them to be the perfect seed. And we check their credentials, we check their employers, we look at their technical skills. Sometimes we even put them through some types of activities to check the skills too. But what we ignore is the soil, the context. And I'm talking about the team dynamic here. The communication norms, the quirks maybe, the invisible stressors, differences or established ways of working that they're being dropped into the middle of and being asked to be successful. And we all know that's not easy. The truth is that we can have the most brilliant seed or person in the world, but if we plant it in unsuitable soil, it won't grow and it might even rot. So why do traditional interview processes fail? Well, behavioral research shows that only 11% of hire failures are due to technical incompetence. In other words, only 11% of the people hired couldn't do the job. The other 89%? Well, research says it's because of behavioral traits. It might be lack of coachability, low emotional intelligence, or even a behavioral mismatch between the existing team, the ways of working, or the working environment and pressures. And when your candidate acceptance rate is low, or people are bouncing out during probation, it's not a candidate quality problem. It's a signal that your interview process is a transactional selling conversation, not a systematic matching one, and they require different solutions. Now, to fix the 46% failed hire rate, you've got to master a specific teamship skill called systemic hiring. Systemic hiring is your strategic capability to recruit individuals not just for an isolated role, not just a specific skill, but as an optimization of the entire team ecosystem. And it relies on 2 critical subskills. The first is strategic team mapping. Strategic team mapping diagnoses the team's current friction points, strengths, and missing dynamics. And the second one, holistic talent evaluation, is where you simultaneously assess a candidate's technical competence and behavioral traits, and you also think about the team's. The skill is just the table stakes. You have to be able to perform in order to get the job done. But the behavioral traits are equally as important. And by shifting the focus from finding technical skills to balancing the system, you ensure more of your new hires will actually want to stay, use their skills for your organization's and your team's benefit, and elevate collective performance. Now, for your practical action for today, we're going to focus on using a behavioral role blueprint, and this will help you improve your strategic team mapping. Before you post your next job opening, brief an internal recruiter, or an external agency, I'd like you to sit down with your hiring manager and build a behavioral role blueprint. There are 4 steps to doing this. So grab a piece of paper, map these out, and I'll show you the 4 essential zones you need to look into. Step 1 is the team behavioral gap audit. Now look at your current team. If your team is already packed with a highly assertive, big picture set of visionaries, hiring another dominant visionary because of their great interview personality is going to be a mistake. You might need someone who's analytical or maybe an execution anchor. So define the traits the team lacks, plus what the person needs to work with the team and realities of the culture. Don't just replicate the top performer. Step 2 is the 90-day probation stress test. Now, this isn't trying to put them through stress. This is actually thinking deeply about the main behavioral stressor that this person will face in their first 3 months. So is it a massive strategic ambiguity that the company is facing right now? Not really lots of clear direction. Or is it limited managerial guidance? Do you not have enough time to spend with this person in order to guide them? Or do they have the ability to do this on their own and find their own way? Or ask other people? Are there rapid iteration cycles? Is there stakeholder conflict? Whatever it is, map that real stressor to the big 5 personality traits required to handle it. Not just general resilience. I'm talking the very specific stress. Now for step 3, we want to define what brilliant behaviorally looks like. What I mean by this is write down how an exceptional hire operates inside your current workflow. What's their communication cadence? How frequently do they like to reach out to people? How do they handle consensus? How do they handle disagreement and conflict? How do they operate when the direction shifts? This is going to become your behavioral picture of success. Step 4, the final step, is core qualifier question. This 4th step, the core qualifier question, is actually based on the first 3 steps. And I'd like to ask you to think of one situation in which a single, explicit, non-negotiable behavioral question that would target what this team needs actually encompasses. Write down that situation and frame a question about what this explicit, non-negotiable behavioral need is. This 4-step blueprint becomes the unified benchmark that each of your interviewers uses to actually score the candidate and the conversations that you're all having so that you can evaluate the same thing and not run 4 or 5 different gut feel conversations simultaneously. It also helps you find information to remove some of those biases and talk about this objectively. This 1-page blueprint will help you shift your process from transactional to systemic and actually increase your success rate. And it's free for you in the comments below. Now you can think about the content of this blueprint individually on your own, but when humans guess at team behavioral profiles, our personal biases tend to creep in. And this is exactly why we built the platform at TalentSage.com. The most successful leaders use our 5-step, pressure point, and tipping point profiles to instantly map their entire team's behavioral data objectively and scientifically. The 5-step profile gives you objective, validated behavioral data on every member of your existing team grounded in Big 5 behavioral science. Layer on the pressure point and the tipping point profiles, and in minutes you can see the stressors and behavioral roles that your team currently uses, which gaps are costing you performance, and what profile your next hire needs to bring to make the team stronger without suffering an immediate cultural misfit and quitting. I guess, in other words, the blueprint helps you think strategically. TalentSage personality profiles give you the data to ensure your thinking is accurate. Using them both together, you can dramatically change the 46% failure rate and reduce lost work, downtime, while increasing your profit and performance. So that's it. One key takeaway, systemic hiring. One key skill, strategic talent mapping. One action to take, the behavioral role blueprint. You don't have to accept that 46% new hire failure drag. So stop hiring practices that look for only skills and credentials alone, and be the kind of talent leader who architects systemic hiring and design for behavioral team chemistry in addition to skills. And don't forget to download our one-page behavioral role blueprint. The worksheet is offered below with our compliments. It'll help you execute this framework with your hiring managers immediately. And when you do use this or practice your skill, be sure to share your experiences and challenges in the comments to help us all learn to be better leaders. And I'll see you in the next lab. And remember, be human, lead better.